Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody is staying well and staying healthy in the midst of this ongoing pandemic, right? Whew. I say it every time. I'm over it, but I hope we get to a point where, we're doing what we need to do to move past this, because it's gone on long enough. All right, so this week I did things a little bit different. I typically record and post my video on my YouTube at the same time that I do my written blog. And they're usually on the same topic. I just kind of expand on them in different ways, but they usually go hand in hand. But I waited on purpose to actually do the video because I don't know. I felt like I needed to make sure I got my words right on this one. And I really take seriously, even if it's just one person that I'm able to help through this channel, then it's worth it for me. And so I wanted to make sure, again, I got all my thoughts together in the process of just, getting this down. So I think I'm there. I think I got it. So what I want to talk to y'all about today is it time to break up? Is it time for a breakup? And a lot of people know that breakups are not fun, right? They drain you emotionally. You have to be very intentional about moving forward. They can cause you to have self-doubt and, just question yourself in a lot of ways. But I'm actually not talking about breaking up in a relationship. I'm actually talking about breaking up with those old mindsets that we have been socialized with, the old negative mindsets that have told us at some point in our life that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not beautiful enough, we're not whatever, athletic enough, fill in the blank, right? All of us have at least one. I can almost guarantee that. And some people have way more than that, right? And the thing that I hate about that is it really keeps us from living within our purpose and being the best version, because it's so easy for those negative thoughts to just sit there, right? And we ruminate on them and we just think about them constantly. And we have to get to a point where we say, you know what, it's time to break up with these old negative mindsets. And so I have a little bit of a personal example to share with y'all now. I know my mom watches my YouTube channel, and I don't know how she's going to feel about this story. Not the first part of it, but the last part, and I'll know when I get a text or a phone call. But I've shared a few times that last year, Jaden and I had a house fire. And one of the lessons that I got out of that was how much stuff that you can have that you just don't need, right? And so because we were in an apartment for 8 months, I bought, I had to replace a lot of stuff, but I was trying to buy the bare minimum because some stuff could be cleaned out of my house and I would get it back. But point being is that we have the bare minimum. I drink a lot of coffee. I'm not even going to tell you how many coffee mugs I have, but in my apartment I had 2 and I would just have to wash them. One set of, not one set of forks, knives and spoons, but enough, to get us through 3 or 4 days. But it was bare minimum. And so when I moved back into my house and I'm getting all these boxes back, stuff that had just been in closets or whatever, I realized just how much stuff I had that I just did not need. And so I'm going through, it's ridiculous how much Tupperware I had. I don't even know why. I mean, I like to cook and stuff, but it was just for 2 people to have that much Tupperware. It was ridiculous. And again, I'm not even going to tell you how many coffee mugs I have. And I still couldn't even get myself to throw them away. I have them in a box, but I had so many because I like to collect them, and people bought them for me. So the point is that I had a lot of stuff that was just sitting there, right? And so I was decluttering, and as I was in the process of doing that, I had a box of stuff that was my plaques and trophies and awards from elementary school on up to high school. And I did a lot of extracurriculars, and there was a lot of stuff in there. And so as I was going through it, I kind of noticed that I wasn't overly excited to sit there and look at this stuff. And I'm 41 now. What am I going to do with this? I really don't want to be reliving stuff that I did, 20, 30 years ago. And so, but again, it's I noticed that I kind of felt some kind of way. And I think what happened was it was bringing up memories of not being good enough. And some of you are like, well, but you got a box full of trophies, so you must have been decent. Yeah, that's true to a point. But I grew up with what I now know to be a very narcissistic father. I didn't know that then, obviously, but I do know that now. And one of the characteristics of a person who's narcissistic is that they find their worth in other things and other people, right? And so if like the people that are around them make them look bad, then they lash out or they condescend or they have negative comments, that sort of thing, right? And so not that my dad not that he made comments and said I wasn't good enough, but for all intents and purposes, that's how I received it. And so an example of that is, I played basketball forever, and I could go and have what I thought was a good or a great game and score like 12, 15 points, and a lot of points in girls' high school basketball. And, on the way home from that, get yelled at and told all the things that I didn't do right. And that happened way more than the opposite. And so what happens when you're internalizing that, you basically are getting to a point where you're thinking like, my best still isn't good enough, right? And so that follows you into adulthood and it plays out in a lot of ways. And so I realized that box of stuff was triggering those memories, and it was triggering, like, even though I had all these accolades in front of me, they didn't come from such a good place, right? I had the evidence right in front of me that I obviously did something good to have a MVP trophy or, student of the month or whatever. But my internal thought process was, maybe I should have done more. Maybe I could have done more. So that's a mindset where I was like, I got to get rid of this. So I took that box out into the backyard. This is the part my mom's probably not going to like, but I threw it in the garbage. It was and I had a lot of stuff in there. And before I did that, maybe like a few days before, I actually showed Jada, and she thought it was kind of cool to see that stuff, but I don't want to be showing her that stuff like every year. I mean, that's just ridiculous, right? But I did. I took it out into the backyard. I threw it away because I realized that part of my life is over and done, and it's bringing up negative feelings. It's not bringing up positive feelings. And so when I threw it in the garbage can, I'm not even lying, I felt like I actually smiled. I actually felt good. And it was like this release of this old version of me that, at that point in my life, I could have done everything. I could have scored 50 points in a game, and he still would have found something wrong with it. So I had to learn to let that go and get to a point where I say, you know what? I'm breaking up with that mindset, because I do know that I'm good enough. I've put a lot of work into myself as far as my spiritual life with prayer, and then going to counseling and surrounding myself with the right people and mindsets and that sort of thing. And so I'm in a good place. I'm in a place of peace and, self-fulfillment, but ultimately that's completely because of God and his grace and his mercy and everything that he's shown me. But it was time to break up with that box of stuff. It was time to break up with those old mindsets. So that's my encouragement to you. This video is a little bit longer than I like them to be, but I don't know. I just feel like somebody needs to hear that. And, you really got to put in the work though to do it. You really have to be intentional and say, you know what, I'm done with that. It's time for me to move on. It's time for me to find something better and something that's going to help me to move forward in my purpose. So I hope that encourages someone. If you watch this over the week, I hope you have a wonderful week or a weekend, and I will see y'all on the next video.